Book of Heaven, Volume 11. The 8th of September to the 30th of October 1916. Page 135 to 139. September 8, 1916. For as long as the soul is in the divine will, so much of divine life can she say she lives on earth. The acts in the divine will are the simplest acts, but, because they are simple, they communicate themselves to all. This morning, after communion, I felt that my lovable Jesus absorbed me completely in his will in a special way, and I swam inside of it. But who can say what I felt? I have no words to express myself. Then Jesus told me, "My daughter, for as long as the soul is in my will, so much of divine life can she say she lives on earth." How I like it when I see that the soul enters into my will to live divine life in it. I like very much to see souls who repeat in my will what my humanity did in it. I received communion, I received myself in the will of the Father, and with this I not only repaired everything, but finding immensity and all-seeingness of everything and everyone in the divine will, I embraced all, I gave communion to all. And in seeing that many would not take part in the sacrament and that the Father was offended for they did not want to receive my life, I gave to the Father the satisfaction and the glory as if all had received communion, giving to the Father the satisfaction and the glory of a divine life for each one. You too, receive communion in my will, repeat what I did, and in this way you will not only repair everything, but will give me to all as I intended to give myself to all, and will give me the glory as if all had received communion. My heart feels moved in seeing that, unable to give me anything from her own which is worthy of me, the creature takes my things, she makes them her own, she imitates the way I did them, and to please me, she gives them to me. And I, in my delight, keep repeating, "Brava, my daughter, you have done exactly what I did." Then he added, "The acts in my will are the simplest acts, but, because they are simple, they communicate themselves to all. The light of the sun, because it is simple, is light of every eye. Yet the sun is one. One act alone in my will, like most simple light, diffuses itself in every heart, in every work, in every one. Yet the act is one. My very being, because it is most simple, is one single act, but an act which contains everything. It has no feet but is the step of all. No eyes, but is the eye and the light of all. It gives life to everything, but with no effort, with no toil, yet it gives the act of operating to all. So, the soul and my will becomes simple, and together with me she multiplies in all, and does good to all. Oh, if all comprehended the immense value of the acts, even the littlest, done in my will, they would let not one act escape them." October 2, 1916. Effects of communion in the divine will. This morning I received communion in the way Jesus had taught me, that is, united with his humanity, his divinity and his will, and Jesus, on coming, made himself seen and I kissed him and clasped him to my heart. He returned my kiss and my embrace, and told me, "My daughter, how content I am that you have come to receive me united with my humanity, divinity and will. You have renewed in me all the contentment I received when I communicated myself. And while you were kissing me and embracing me, since all of myself was in you, you contained all creatures. And I felt I was given the kiss of all, the embraces of all, because this was your will, as was mine in communicating myself, to return to the Father all the love of creatures, even though many would not love him. The Father made up for their love in me, and I make up for the love of all creatures in you. And having found in my will one who loves me, repairs me, in the name of all, because in my will there is nothing that the creature cannot give me, I feel like loving creatures even if they offend me, and I keep inventing stratagems of love around the hardest hearts in order to convert them. Only for love of these souls who do everything in my will, do I feel as though chained, captured, and I concede to them the prodigies of the greatest conversions." October 13, 1916. How the angels are around the soul who does the hours of the Passion. These hours are sweet little sips that souls give to Jesus. I was doing the hours of the Passion, and blessed Jesus told me, "My daughter, in the course of my mortal life, thousands and thousands of angels were the cortege of my humanity, gathering everything I did, my steps, my works, my words, and even my sighs, my pains, the drops of my blood, in sum, everything. They were the angels in charge of my custody, and of paying me honor. Obedient to my every wish, they would rise to and descend from heaven, to bring to the Father what I was doing. Now these angels have a special office, and as the soul remembers my life, my passion, my blood, my wounds, my prayers, they come around this soul and gather her words, her prayers, her acts of compassion for me, her tears and her offerings. They unite them to mine, and they bring them before my Majesty to renew for me the glory of my own life. The delight of the angels is so great that, reverent, they listen to what the soul says, and pray together with her. So, with what attention and respect must the soul do these hours, thinking that the angels hang upon her lips to repeat after her what she says. Then he added, after the so many bitternesses that creatures give me, these hours are sweet little sips that souls give me, but for the many bitter sips I receive, the sweet ones are too few. Therefore, more diffusion, more diffusion. October 20, 1916. Grace, like sunlight, gives itself to all. I was fusing myself in the divine will, and the thought came to me of commending to it various people in a special way, and blessed Jesus told me, "My daughter, specificity goes by itself even if you should not place any intention. In the order of grace it happens as in the natural order. The sun gives light to all, yet not everyone enjoys the same effects. However, this is not because of the sun, but because of creatures. One uses the light of the sun in order to work, to be industrious, to learn, to appreciate things. This one makes herself rich, she constitutes herself, and does not go around begging for bread from others. Someone else, then, keeps lazing about. She does not want to meddle in anything. The light of the sun inundates her everywhere, but for her it is useless, she wants to do nothing with it. This one is poor and sickly because sloth produces many evils, physical and moral, and if she feels hungry, she needs to beg for someone else's bread. Now, is the light of the sun perhaps responsible for these two? Or, does it give more to one and less to the other? Certainly not. The only difference is that one takes advantage of the light in a special way, while the other does not. Now, the same happens in the order of grace which, more than light, inundates souls, and now it makes itself all voice to call them, voice to instruct them and to correct them. Now it makes itself fire and burns away from them the things of down here, and with its flames it puts to flight creatures and pleasures from them, and with its burns it forms pains and crosses in order to give to the soul the shape of sanctity it wants from her. Now it makes itself water, and purifies her, embellishes her and impregnates her completely with grace. But who is attentive on receiving all these flows of grace? Who corresponds to me? Ah, too few. And then some dare to say that to these I give grace for them to make themselves saints, and to others I do not, almost wanting to hold me responsible, while they content themselves with conducting their lives lazing about, as if the light of grace were not there for them. Then he added, "My daughter, I love the creature so much, that I myself have placed myself as sentry of each heart to watch them, to defend them and to work their sanctification with my own hands. But to how many bitternesses do they not subject me? Some reject me, some do not care about me and despise me, some lament about my surveillance, some slam the door in my face, rendering my work useless. And I not only placed myself to act as sentry, but on purpose do I choose the souls who live of my will. In fact, since they are present in all of me, I place them with me as a second sentry of each heart. These second sentries console me, repay me for them, and keep me company in the loneliness into which many hearts force me, and they force me not to leave them. Greater grace I could not give to creatures, by giving them these souls who live of my will, who are the portent of portents." October 30, 1916. Threats of scourges, especially for Italy. I was lamenting to my always lovable Jesus, for in these past days he would hardly come, or I would just barely perceive his shadow, and then he would disappear. And blessed Jesus told me, "My daughter, how quickly you forget that on those days in which I do not come so much and I escape you, it is for nothing else but to give one more winding to the scourges. Things will rage more and more. Ah, man has reached such perversity that it is not enough to touch his flesh to make him surrender, but I have to come to the point of pulverizing him. Therefore one nation will invade another, and they will lacerate each other. Blood will flow like water in the towns. Even more, in certain nations they will become the enemies of themselves, and they will fight one another, they will kill one another, they will do crazy things. Ah, how much man grieves me! I myself cry over him. At the words of Jesus I burst into crying, and I prayed him to spare poor Italy, but Jesus continued, "Italy, Italy. Ah! If you knew how much evil she is up to, how many plots against my church. The blood she is causing to be shed in battle is not enough for her. She is thirsty for more blood, but wants the blood of my children, the blood of the primate. She wants to stain herself with such crimes as to draw upon herself the revenge of heaven and of other nations." I remained terrorized. I fear greatly, but I hope that the Lord will placate himself.